Manchester's real glory was a continuum of first-class rock and roll.
Beckham into Sheringham and Solskjaer has won it!
It's Monday, it's gone 7 o'clock, we're later than usual, so you know we're definitely here doing things as we usually do. I'm Scotty, that's Motty. Welcome back to another Scotty and Motty show. No football this weekend of notes, as I don't really give a rat's ass about international football, but you cared?
Not really. I was underwhelmed, and I'm not really bothered. I was more intrigued by the drama of Marcus Rashford not playing than I was. When I say intrigued, I was angered by the drama.
You went on TalkSport though, didn't you?
I did. You know what? Because I love it so much.
You talk about it on a hell of a lot. So
I do, right? Because I usually call it talk shite, so maybe I'm a bit of a hypocrite. But our mutual friend messaged me yesterday, and she's like, after someone to come on, I was like, I've been on it a couple of times actually. There's a few things I do now. I go on Paul Ross's show now, I like him, but I did a voiceover for the Marcus Rashford documentary, and he said, "Do you want to come on and talk to Sam Matterface about Marcus Rashford and stick up for him?" I thought, why not? I will do. But yeah, I went on there and sort of stuck up for him. Some of the grief he's been getting because he didn't play for England this week because he had picked up a knock against Fulham.
The biggest gripe I had about that was what he was wearing in New York. But I mean, I'm not one to...
do you know what? I struggle. I understand what you're saying, Scotty, but I struggle with having a dig at these kids.
I'm not having a dig at them.
No,
I mean, it's just like, how cold was it? That was it.
I thought you were going to comment on his fashion sense.
No, but like he lives in Manchester. I don't see him that well wrapped up. But yeah, like his coat games, you know...
Yeah, what was
as a mank.
Did you see the Pope in a puffer jacket, by the way, a bubble jacket?
How could you miss the Pope?
Yeah.
Everyone was just like every second meme. I'm here for it, man. You got to, bring in religion to the next generation.
Think he was inspired by Johnny Escott?
I'll be honest, I thought it was Jim Bowen at first. Did he not look like Jim Bowen?
It's so random.
In hip hop,
the Pope wearing a what is it? A bubble jacket. It was wasn't what I had in me Pope wearing bingo. Loads of people in the chat, I'll get into it and then we'll move on to the subject. Good vibes, John Shin says, Jay, if you come to New York City for the tour, you and the family are welcome to save peas by crashing at my place. I'm not being funny, John, that's kind of what we've expecting, so we've sort of budgeted for that. So yeah, nice one. And when you say me and the family, that means me and everyone from Paddock who's coming, including Scotty.
Am I going? I'm still waiting for me invite.
But listen, I don't own America.
You own America. I actually went to the scary place of sliding into Steve Howson's DMs.
Whoa.
And he said he hasn't got a fucking clue who's dealing with it.
You may as well talk to Ethan if you can ask what's going on in America. Talking to Steve. He never knows anything, but apparently he's going to be there. I think we're all going to be there. So come down. We're going to have, hopefully, set up some events as well. Do some
Scotty and Motty in Central Park.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like it. Tanvir, Manchester 1982, King Dino, Brian Casey, Danny Thomas, Anthony McCormick, all saying hello. Raft22 says, Jay, nice calling, but sorry when I see Matterface is all I think of how poor he is as a commentator. He was actually alright on that thing. Adam Patterson here says, sorry, Jay, won't be watching live as I'm about to watch Succession. We're watching a tiny bit, my friend. I stayed up late last night to watch Succession. You don't watch it, do you?
I watched the first season, not because I didn't like it. I think I just, you start binging too many things at once. I did see Brian Cox on Jonathan Ross over the weekend.
Yeah, he's good stuff, Brian
Cox. Likes the weed.
Does it?
Yeah, but I'm not smoking it, like the edibles. Yeah, he's like... He says he's got. Said, what's your condition? It's medically prescribed. So he was over there in America.
Yeah.
Goes, yeah. He goes, well, what was the diagnosis? He went, life.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I think he's a United fan as well. But
Salford, innit? Via Scotland.
Yeah,
I think
it might be. Yeah, I think that sounds like that route. But I watched it last night. It's the first episode of season 4. And it was sort of setting the scene for what's to come. You can see, right, okay, here's a bit of, filling you in on what's happened, and then, what's that? Is that exposition, that? What do you call that?
Foreboding?
Foreboding, thank you. And then, it's like, right, this is so, now you can see what's going to go on. So, it was a good one, but you can see this season, it's all going to kick off, as you'd expect, and Brian Cox was in good form. Right, let's talk about this sting operation. and sting operations in general? Because do you like a good sting operation?
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I've never been involved in one, but, you know.
Have you not?
Not that I know of. This might be one. This might be some elaborate ruse.
I went through many sting operations in the 90s and noughties. That's what I think they were anyway. These people trying to set me up to buy drugs, but I knew what was going on.
Really? Yeah.
I wasn't daft. So I went along with it. Yeah. This sting operation where the guys called Led by Donkeys, who they're always doing good work. They always put like the tweets of MPs and stuff on big billboards near the constituency, calling them out for, you know, lying or hypocrisy or whatever, which is always a good laugh. They did a sting where they set up this fake company, and then asked MPs. They wrote to, I think it was 20 MPs in 16 or 14 Tories, 4 Labour, 1 Independent and 1 Lib Dem, I think, to try and get them to be a consultant for this company, this non-existent company. You know, we want some political consultants. They created a website and then they reached out to these MPs, and about 4 or 5 of them fell for it. Quite prominent MPs, I think.
Yeah, names.
Matt Hancock.
Any surprises that Matt Hancock got caught in that net?
Absolutely none. I mean, this guy, like, seriously, the whole, only he could go on I'm a Celebrity, get me out of it, and make it worse after I'm a Celebrity by revealing how much he actually gave to charity. Because he made a big song and dance today, I'm giving some money to charity. I'm giving a big part of my fee to charity, because I think he got 400k for going in there. You think, all right, fair enough, not fair enough, but, you know, if he's giving a chunk of his fee to charity, you have to kind of respect that, or you can understand it or appreciate it, whatever. And it turned out it was 10k of the 400 grand, which I'm no mathematician, but I think it's less than 5% or something, is it? Which is a bit shabby.
It's bad taste, isn't it?
So he got stung. Kwasi Kwarteng, who, you know, God knows why he thought anyone would want his consultancy after what he did to the economy, but he did it. And what was great was Graham Brady as well, he was the leader of the 1922 committee. What was great is seeing these guys sort of haggling as well. They're like, oh, 10k appearance or whatever.
Kwasi was going between 8 and 12.
Yeah, and it was like, I think Graham Brady said, oh, and he gave his figure, and they were like, yeah, sound, and he was like, was that a bit too low? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm going to shock you though, Mr. Scott. You know my thoughts towards the Conservatives and this Conservative government and the greediness and ineptitude and nepotism that we see from said government. I wasn't that angered by this.
Is that because you're all out of anger? Like,
That's a good question.
If this had happened 2 years ago, and, you know, we hadn't gone through everything like you said, I mean, just Matt Hancock in the jungle and not donating the money, or PPA. Which
PPA. Do you ever watch that?
Is that selling?
What was that thing?
PPI, I'm thinking.
What was that? Did you ever watch that? Pen, pineapple, apple, pen. PPAP. Did you ever see that?
What?
Apple pen. I have a pen. I have an apple. Oh, apple pen. You remember it, innit, producer Ethan? Did you not remember that?
No.
Your kids never see it.
Don't think so.
Pen, pineapple, apple pen. Oh, mate.
Right, so before the Apple Pen...
Yes. Sorry, you did well to stay with me then, because if you've not seen it, that is absolutely random.
Then I imagine you would have been a little bit more miffed, but considering in the hierarchy of ineptitude, as you put it, I don't think it, you know,
I think
it's Champions League.
Yeah, it's not. I think there is an element of that. I always think there's almost like, at times, a finite amount of outrage you can have before it turns into apathy. You're like... I mean, I think I've not reached that yet. I've still got a lot of outrage left in me. But I kind of think the story is here. I mean, it's funny, and I'm glad they did it. It's hilarious watching these guys on a Zoom call, haggling with a fake company over their fee and bragging about what they can do. But in the grand scheme of things, I think when you boil down what this news story is, it's MPs we already knew were greedy and incompetent show their greed and incompetence.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
reveal anything, did it?
Yeah, that's why I'm not defending him. It's a disgrace. But I wasn't as bothered by this. I just thought it was funny.
It felt like a Brass Eye sketch.
Yeah.
It's very much along them lines.
Yeah, it does. Loads of people in the comments. John Hemingway's done the maths for us. He said 2.5%.
2.5?
Yeah.
Wow.
Crimson Kate with a fantastic dad joke. Crimson Kate 82. Sting operation. Didn't know he was ill.
Ah, right, yeah, got that.
Joke, that, innit? Yeah.
I've not heard from Crimson Kate for a while. She's been watching the channel since the early days, since I had a tinfoil on and in the bedroom.
I forgot that. Most fantastic intro ever. Someone mentioned the Andy Cole interview. Yeah, King Dino. Go and check out the Andy Cole interview on Paddock after this. Don't go now. The best interview I've ever been involved with. So great.
Yeah,
The
well
guy
done,
was
man.
So great.
Well
He
done.
was. He was so open. Just wasn't afraid.
How long were you interviewing him for?
100 minutes.
Yeah, I said I was taking my dad to pick his car up this morning because he went on the pop last night. And I said, Jay was chatting to Andy Cole the weekend. I was, Andy Cole was, yeah. And I thought about 2 hours. He goes, the fuck was he talking to him about for 2 hours for? I was like, Andy Cole, he won the Champions League.
Well, do you know the thing was? We were chatting to him for about an hour before we started recording. So it probably was about 2.5 hours or whatever. And he has this reputation, Andy Cole, and I've spoken to a few people about it, and it's not fair. I think he's one of them he doesn't play the game, and he said that I don't play that whole media game. If he doesn't like someone, he don't have it with him. And he's not like he's going to be like false. And I think you have to have a little bit of that to get ahead in the media or whatever, in the sports media, despite the fact you're a legend. And he just does his own thing. But we were chatting, and he was proper relaxed, and he was a laugh, and we were sort of, having a good laugh, me, him and McCullough, and, we made no bones about the fact we absolutely loved him.
Yeah.
And then when he got going, he just carried on. And it was great, and like you say, an hour and 40 minutes with him, it was amazing.
Fair play, man. He blocked me on Twitter, so I told you this.
I'd be surprised if he's doing his own Twitter, but I don't know. But he's not got a Twitter account now.
Well, it felt like it was him,
right?
Because I think we were playing West Ham in an important game end of the season.
Did you bring up the 1995 game?
I did bring up the 1995 game and tagged him in.
You see, Scotty.
And I said, I hope we play better today than we did in '95 when Andy Cole couldn't hit the back of a car with a banjo. Well, and then he replied saying, yeah, but I bet you wasn't saying that in '99. I said, I wasn't. I said, I was like, and then went back and forth, and then he just blocked me. I tried to, my tweet, after about 5 going back and forth, I said, I'm a big fan. I'm not trying. It was a joke. It's a joke. And then it was too late.
Well, this is the thing. I think he doesn't go in for a lot of that. And to be fair to him, because I was wary about bringing up 95, but we did. He actually brought it up, and we mentioned it, and he talked about that whole thing of going back from that to 99. He was quite open about everything to winning, to scoring the winning goal. So yeah, go and check it out. Miss Man United says, even when you've seen it, it's random. Talking about the pineapple, apple pen situation. I wanted to ask you on our intro. You see when I'm whispering into your ear?
Yeah.
What does that remind you of? What sort of show or thing does that remind you of? If you had to put that in a film or a television show.
I don't know. I've seen it before.
I think it looks a little bit like, I don't know, maybe Gomorrah or something to me.
It could be.
Yeah.
We do get that sometimes.
Yeah.
When I've got my beard.
Yeah.
And you've
because like with that free
bald.
stripe, that's the sort of thing they wear in it.
Yeah.
Quite like you've got the Italian features anyway. It looks like me going, come on.
And we didn't even rehearse that.
No, we didn't. One take.
Yeah. It certainly wasn't. How many pictures did it, Ethan? It wasn't takes, it was memory cards.
Bless Ethan, right? I love it, producer Ethan. We should have given him a mic. Sorry about this. But he's someone who cares a lot about his craft. And he gets worried sometimes. He did about 1,000 pictures and I was panicking. Oh, Jay, some of them might be off. I'm like, bro, it's okay. You're doing us a favour. Don't worry about it. And amongst the thousands, there was some that we could actually use. So it was.
How many's made it onto his wall?
Yeah, he's printed him out and wallpapered his house with him.
Has he really?
Yeah, he told me earlier.
Man of taste.
Hit that like button. I think Glenn F said that earlier. Yeah, do hit the like button. You did a tweet, didn't you, earlier?
I did do a tweet.
You love a bit of Twitter, don't you? And I want to get into it because, I want to go into because you asked the question.
I said, what do people want to talk about? As producer Ethan, can you get it? You get it on the screen, Ethan?
I've got the. That is a very good question from Office Monkey. When will Cadbury bring back Spira? I used to love Spira.
I didn't know it had gone.
Oh yeah, it went.
You've got a sweet tooth though, you ain't?
Not anymore. I've got
a
condition now, Anna. I'm not allowed any chocolate. Well, I've got to minimise the amount of chocolate.
Is she like padlocking stuff up?
She's very supportive, my missus. I mean, bless her. She's got her hands full, hasn't she? You know what I mean? You're recovering alcoholic already. Now you can't eat chocolate as well, or you got to watch that. But she was very supportive. She said, no, we'll do this sort of thing together and we'll find other snacks and stuff. So, yeah, very good. Straight away, Steve Rawlins there, Orange Ape 7. Lance Reddick, we didn't mention him, did we, last week?
No.
As soon as we finished the video...
First thing you said, wasn't it?
We didn't mention Lance Reddick, which was a shame because we're both big fans of, obviously, The Wire and his work. Played, obviously, Lieutenant Daniels, didn't he, in The Wire. Passed away last week. Again,
60, wasn't it?
A shocker. Where's that? Always looked really fit and healthy, you know what I mean? 60's no age, I know it's a cliche, but it's not. Came out of the blue, and it was one of those deflating things where you think, oh, really? Do you know what I mean? What do you make of his performance as Daniels? Because it kind of, for me, was a little bit underrated because it wasn't like it would have been easy if you're playing a lieutenant who's dealing with McNulty and everyone to shout and scream and be very but he never does that.
More like Rolls, I suppose.
Yeah.
Rolls was very much the opposite of McNulty, and I think that's why Reddick's sort of performance as Lieutenant Daniels was a lot straighter, and it was like the sort of go between. But what he didn't do verbally, he did with his, and I think that's a harder task as an actor. Just the eyes, man. You know, used to throw that stare at McNulty.
It was proper like a mixture of infuriation, deflation, everything. You know, like what am I doing here with this?
And you never knew really was he dirty. Do you know what I mean?
Great point.
Because that never comes out, and that again, like with the Rolls thing, just where David Simon put little nuggets in with Rolls. Was he gay? It's not
that gay bar,
but it never gets mentioned, and he does that purposely. Like I read the books about The Wire and stuff, but you never really know about Daniels because he's always that sort of undercurrent because he has got the ambition to move up.
Yeah,
but
got a law degree, hasn't he?
Yeah.
It's really good that, and you know. You need a bit of intrigue, don't you? Like a little bit. Like you say with the whole roles things, it's never expanded upon. But what I love about that as well is when you find out, you see he's in a gay club, you assume this guy is gay. But I'm always waiting for that to come out. I'm waiting, is there going to be something where there's something...
like McNulty would find and use that as the ammunition to sort of hold over him.
But nothing.
No, I like that. I think that's better just than little nuggets and it's all.
That's life, isn't it?
Well, we're still talking about it now rather than it being on the nose.
Yeah, I like that. And it's not sort of ham-fisted stuff. It's done like very subtly. But yeah, love Lance Reddick. Thoughts of his family and friends as well. And it's sad because, you know, it wasn't that long ago. Was it Michael K. Williams who lost? Who was Omar in The Wire. And now Lance Reddick, who played Lieutenant Daniels, just a fantastic actor in a fantastic show, and a big reason why it was fantastic as well. A few persons mentioned here about, I think Tanvir Hamid in the tweets has said about Warnock, well, he's called him something else, and Quasi asking for 10 grand per day. Do you remember, it's weird, isn't it, because they're probably not going to get too much repercussions from this, I don't think.
No, well, the Teflon, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, do you remember like Sam Allardyce? You've got him on the thumb. Do you remember his sting? It's cost him the England job, didn't it?
Yeah. How long did he last?
It was one game, wasn't it?
He
did one game. And then this came out and he got sacked. And I kind of felt for him a bit because I wasn't a big fan of him. Anyway, I thought he was all right. But he ends up with the England job almost by default. Like, everyone's looking around, we need an English manager.
Am I right in saying Fergie suggested Allardyce?
He might have,
for the England job.
They are good mates, because in Fergie's book, I think it's in his second book, my autobiography, I think he says Allardyce is one of his few friends who was in football, like close friends, like they go golf together and all that and hang around. So it wouldn't surprise me. He had that one game, I think England won. And you thought, okay, he's been in the Premier League for a lot of years now. He did all right at Sunderland, didn't he, where he kept them up and, you know, he'd made the argument, I don't always play this long ball stuff. I had Jermaine Defoe as my lead striker. How can I play long ball? You know, it's a bit of a myth, and I've always kept my teams competitive. What he did at Bolton was very good indeed. And you thought, all right, why not? It could be fun.
Yeah.
He gets one game, and then that sting. And I don't know, sometimes with sting operations, I feel like...
Is it morally correct?
Yeah, I get it. I feel it's a bit like grassy.
Isn't there like some law in America called entrapment, where you can't.
He claimed that, I think.
Yeah. Can you still have that over here? Because it is that though, isn't it?
I think it is. I think the problem that Allardyce had was it wasn't the law that came for him.
It was the media.
And then
the FA were never going to sort of...
Yeah.
Especially with everything that got on with Venables as well previously.
Yeah. And there was this insinuation that maybe he was open to a bit of a backhander. Also, he said things about Roy Hodgson that weren't very nice, which is embarrassing for the FA and for England and everything. And I think it was just like one of those where it's a bit messy, innit? And you go... I think, had he been further down the line, had he taken us to a tournament and been successful, and, you know, got us to the semi-finals of the World Cup, whatever... And people go, okay, you know, he's got another 4 years left on his deal and he could be building something.
Yeah.
I think, because you're one game in. Do you know what I mean? It's like your first day at work and you've already, you know...
Did he last longer than sort of Brian Clough at Leeds?
That is a really, really good question.
Because he did 28 days, didn't he, or something?
44 days.
44.
Let me have a look now.
Steve Coppell's got the record, hasn't he, Man City, for being the least... shortest,
'cause he quit after 2 weeks, didn't he?
shortest period of the football.
Right, who do you reckon was longest? It's close. One of them's obviously longer. Brian Clough at Leeds or Sam Allardyce at England?
I'm going to say longer.
Longest.
I'm going to say Allardyce on the basis that international football doesn't come around that often.
Very clever. He's not as daft as he looks, my friend. You're right. How many days do you think he lasted?
More. So 44 days, Clough.
44 days is Clough. You know it's more. I'm not going to tell you any more.
I'm going to say 56.
Ooh, 67. 67-day reign as the England boss after his sting. Yeah, I think as well with Allardyce, he comes across as a bit of one of them, doesn't he? Like, you get a few drinks in him, you chat to him, he'd tell you anything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's malicious or nasty. I think he's just one of those guys.
No, I think we've all met an Allardyce in the pub.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Very much working men's club sort of tackle.
Yeah, it is. And I think I think it was the Telegraph that did it. And the press regulator, Ipso, investigated it. Like, was it justified? And they concluded it was productive and proportionate, the way they'd investigated it and what had happened. But yeah.
Just to explain what Ipso is.
So Ipso is like, they're the press regulator. That's like Ofcom for, or Ofsted for schools. Or
See, I'd heard of Ipso, but I'd never really sort of...
Yeah. So they did this in, the regulator, they looked into it and they decided that, I'm reading an article here in The Guardian. It says the press regulator, Ipso, concluded that the Daily Telegraph's subterfuge, is that how you say it? Subterfuge?
Yeah. I've been using that word a lot this weekend.
Really?
I've written a play. I'll talk about that off camera.
Never
Coming out in the summer.
Just drop that. I've been using the word subterfuge whilst writing my play. Sorry, Geoffrey Chaucer.
Is that Chaucer's first name? Are you going to go for Jeffrey Archer?
I'm pretty sure it is Geoffrey Chaucer. I don't even know. Is The Miller's Tale a play? I don't even know if it is. The Canterbury Tales. Is it a play?
It's a book, isn't it?
It's a book. So I don't know. I was going to go with William Shakespeare, but I tried to be clever. I'm pretty sure it is Geoffrey Chaucer, but I'm sure producer even...
Jeffrey doesn't seem like a name that you go with. If you call his surname Chaucer.
Yeah, it's
William.
Like proper years ago, that, innit?
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't have thought... Is it Jeffrey? Have I just made that up? We'll find out in a minute.
Yeah.
It is. There you go, you see?
With a G? All right, see, that gives it a little bit more of that oldie English.
Old English. Yeah, make sure you are hitting the like button. Dale Gibson says Lance Reddick was a fantastic actor. I agree. Dale Gibson says Fergie said Sam Allardyce was revolutionary. He was actually forward thinking a lot of what he did, Allardyce at Bolton. I went on a tour of their training ground once and it was like oxygen tanks and all that sort of stuff, which was...
Really? In Bolton?
Yeah.
I've seen a few people carry them around.
Didn't you nearly play for Bolton?
I did. I played for Bolton, boys. Like I was on up until the age of 16, 17.
Yeah,
got a bad injury and then got offered the opportunity to go to Oldham.
Yeah.
And then found the pub on the way with girls. So that was the end of my football career. But the thing was, Bolton, I got let go because I was surprisingly not tall enough.
Really?
Yeah. But the annoying thing is, the only people that they kept on was this big... I'm not going to use his red head against him, but at the time I wasn't very... I was quite derogatory about his look. But you would be, wouldn't you? He was the only one. And basically, he just hoofed it up from the back. He was shit at football, but he was a unit. Do you know what I mean? Like he would fit into a sort of, maybe not an Allardyce team.
What age was this?
I was 16, so just out of school.
I always feel sorry for some of these lads who are quite big as well, because in younger ages they stand out and sometimes they get caught with, don't they?
Yeah, well, I was always up against it, and there was like, unless I was like a fucking Scholes or a Messi and stuff.
What position were you?
Well, I was playing centre midfield,
right?
So it was always a difficult sort of.
What were you, like a little Andrea Pirlo?
Yeah, but I played up front from a local team, and for some reason at the Bolton I played at the midfield.
Like a Dennis Wise.
I like the tackle. I preferred Roy Keane.
Right, okay. I was just trying to. I was trying to think of short attackers, really. Not many, is there?
No, but I was more like Romario up front. I'm not saying this because of bagged 8 goals against Stalybridge Celtic.
Well, Romario never did that. So if anything, you're better than him.
Romario's never even been to Stalybridge.
Exactly. Has he bagged 8 goals against Stalybridge? No, he's never even been there.
Let me just. Stalybridge were like top team back then.
Mate, I'm not knocking you. I don't score 8 goals in the garden against a kid, so I've no doubt you're good levels.
Yeah, just to give you a bit of a atmosphere of the time. The following day on the same pitch, 2 lads got shot dead.
Really?
Yeah, I was like,
Jesus wept.
yeah, good old days.
Was this in Staley Vegas? This is in.
No,
Staley
this was in Levenshulme. This on Greenbank in Levenshulme.
Mate, I tell you what, I thought Partington was.
You don't see football. Let's talk about
Emotional.
street footballers. You don't see that anymore.
You don't.
So, somebody was talking about Rooney on Twitter. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was saying the streets will never talk about Rooney in the same way that they were Drogba and.
Which is I bit on this one.
I bet as well.
I couldn't help myself.
Because Rashford said that Rooney was his idol.
And, you know, Wayne Rooney was the ultimate street footballer. And also, I like Drogba, actually, but Wayne Rooney at 22 had won everything.
Yeah.
And Drogba was still in the French second division.
Why doesn't Rooney get the same? Why doesn't he get the credit that, like a Ronaldo or a Drogba or Thierry Henry?
I think with Rooney, he's massively underrated. And I think that sounds weird, but you're right. Because the guy broke the record for England at the time. I know Harry Kane.
Yeah, without scoring a shitload of penalties against a shitload of countries.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Broke the record for Manchester United, top scorer. Won the Champions League, loads of Premier Leagues. I think he won the FA. Yeah, he did. He won every domestic trophy he can, and the Europa League. I think him and Michael Carrick are the only players who've won every trophy available at club level. He did all that. He was also the strike partner for Cristiano Ronaldo, Dimitar Berbatov and Robin Van Persie when all those three players won the Golden Boot. So he was the guy that was assisting them most and being a little bit selfless. And yet he still looks at as like almost this okay striker.
It's ridiculous. If and I hate doing this, but if Rooney was Spanish, then that'd be a different story. But I think because of him being a working class lad from Liverpool and sort of like he's off the field being married to Colleen and stuff, and maybe they're drinking him his weight afterwards, which I don't think is any reason to sort of take away what someone achieved on the football pitch.
Absolutely none whatsoever.
But I always put it down to I think Rooney was too good at too many things.
Right.
Because you never seen a season where it was like, if he was doing the one thing season after season after season, that would become the one thing that he'd known at. But because he could play so many different sort of roles in the team and was available to play, deep in midfield, could play a centre forward or off the number 9 or number 10. Do you know what I mean? He was never consistent in one position, and that wasn't that was because he was able to play in so many positions. Where if you look at the likes of you were talking there, Van Persie or Ronaldo, they were always playing. That was it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Master of all trades.
Ian Barron says, I've liked and subscribed. Hit that subscribe button, please, people. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think a good example, Rooney, what how sort of multifaceted his skills were. Do you remember that? Have you seen that clip? Well, you remember the game, obviously, but from the 2008 Champions League final, where I think he's tackling in the right back position, wins the ball, sprints
ridiculous.
with it, does a 70-yard pass, and I'm not exaggerating. I think it's to Tevez, who then crosses it for Michael Carrick, who has his shot saved on the line. You watch that and just watch what Rooney does. No other player, like a few other players in world football, could do that. And like that isn't a goal or an assist or anything. It's you watching him doing what he's good at and him doing something that no one else can do. And there's not a metric for that. Because there were so many games where Rooney, I remember we were talking about this. Do you remember the Arsenal game when Arsene Wenger got sent to the stands?
Yeah,
Pretty sure it's that game. And I remember Rooney in the last minute doing 80-yard sprints.
His engine was incredible.
It was, and I think there's one of my favourite clips from Rooney. There's two things that I think sum up Wayne Rooney beautifully. Well, three actually, but there's the goal against Newcastle. He's arguing with the ref.
Yeah.
He's fuming. The ball drops to him. It's a 25-yard volley with a bit of bend on it, with anger into the back of the net, just pure Wayne Rooney. There's the time when there's a drop ball with him and George Boateng and he nearly decapitates him. It's honestly, it's MMA.
Yeah.
And there was the other one where he dives in and the kid he dives in has got not studs like Mouldies, but sharp ones, and it cuts his leg and he has to go off. It could have cut his artery. Do you know what I mean? He flies in, just doesn't care, and to make the block. And I think those are sort of things with Rooney go under the radar, his anger, his aggression, and not just unbridled aggression, but
it was. I mean,
rawness.
He did have the ability to boil over, but not in the sense of a Roy Keane. In many ways, it was control. It was channeled aggression. I suppose the best way to put it. I was at his debut against Fenerbahce.
Oh yeah, the hat trick.
Oh man, that was it was Fenerbahce, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was mad because I think he'd all just signed and he cut a thing in his top. Do you remember?
Yeah, my mate Ian told me 2 years before United had signed him, even before he'd scored the goal against Arsenal for Everton. And I think it was on Soccer AM, which I believe is going by the way. We could talk about that actually afterwards. But they played a clip of Rooney playing for the under 16s, and we're saying, look at this young kid. And then the following season, he was at Everton, and so Ian's been sort of following his career. And we went along, and I thought it looks like it'd be decent. But then that hat trick very much, like you were saying, foreboding of what the career to become.
Yeah, definitely. This is it. Someone else, right? I just want to get into some of the comments here.
I'd love to know any of your favourite Wayne Rooney moments or goals as well. Get them in the comments.
Just on that, Brenaldinho says that Rooney tackle happened about 8 metres from me in Moscow. Neil Shaw says Ronaldo and Drogba had the longevity. Rooney was on a downward sloped from around 28, 29. But you see, this is the thing, right? Like, Drogba didn't play in the League 1 until he was 23. And that was the French league with Guingamp, sorry. Then went to Marseille, then got to the Premier League when he was, 24, 25?
Yeah.
I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons there. Came back a few years later, scored 7 in 40 and helped to win the league. Wayne Rooney was playing in the Premier League from 16. So he had 14 years at the Premier League football. Even though he was by 30 or whatever, he was done with the Premier League. He had 14 years of it, and in almost all of those years, he was phenomenal. It was only like the last season, I think. But even when he went back to Everton, he scored, I think, 11 Premier League goals. For Everton, who was struggling. But as a 16-year-old, he's banging in worldies. Do you know what I mean? Like that goal against Arsenal. So people might look at it and go, he didn't have longevity. We played 14 years at the top level. How many strikers do that?
Well, if you look at someone compared to who also came at the scene at that age, I'd say Michael Owen, and he'd nowhere near the fucking longevity of career.
Bro, he was done by the time he was 23.
Yeah.
And also, Rooney, I think, mentioned it. Great interview with Rooney. Do you know the YouTube channel? That interview with Ethan? I can't remember. He does an interview with an Everton fan channel. Let me try and find it because I don't want to get you the wrong one. Toffee TV. And he sits down with them for about 2 hours, I think. And the guy kind of knows him. He knows his family, and he's just an Everton fan, the presenter. But I think he knows Rooney, and he's got some sort of connection in terms of they've known each other for years because the guy's a fan. They're not best mates or anything. But it's really good because it's just typical Wayne Rooney. Dead honest, dead open. Do you know what I mean? He talks about when he got to Everton as a kid, and he thought, he got to the first team, and he was like, these are all crap.
Yeah.
And he was dead angry because he was an Everton fan. He was angry at the fact the club had, the team was so terrible. But it's just really good to watch and see him so relaxed. So yeah, if you can go and check it out. Ben Silva makes a good point here. Sabitzer is on the bench for Austria as we speak, so maybe not as bad an injury as first thought. There was talk of him being out for a little while. Glenn F says Rooney was one of the best players to put on a United shirt. For me, completely agree. We didn't really mention Marcus Rashford proper, did we? We've got him on the thumbnail. What did you make of all that sort of stuff with Rashford? Were you bothered? Do you care? Were you annoyed?
No, I wasn't annoyed. I thought Southgate was very much what Southgate's been in terms of his treatment of Marcus Rashford for England. And if it was me, I said he should have gone to the World Cup, and you were in a different camp. You said he should come up. He needs to go over there and maybe sort of not redeem himself because he missed a penalty and he didn't need to do that. But maybe for his own mental health, and it's come back a lot better for Manchester United post the World Cup. But I just felt Gareth Southgate's comments just didn't need that at all. No,
it's bad management for me. There was no Gareth Southgate. Knows better than anyone how his words get used. What the weight of his words. He kind of learned his lesson from the Chris Smalling thing, didn't he? You think. And he's not stupid. You might not think he's a good enough manager, but he's not thick. So he knows if he sort of questions Marcus Rashford's sort of availability, or says, how can we miss him when he's never here, sort of thing, how that's going to be taken by the media and what that's going to do to Marcus Rashford. Now, the thing is, Marcus gets a backlash. Marcus Rashford's not going to be happy about that because he's going to see everyone's digging me out and Southgate said this thing. Also, some of his teammates are going to be like, why has he done that? Why has the gaffer done that? Like,
Yeah.
that's a bit odd. Doesn't help anyone. Then Southgate comes out with this thing of like, listen, you know, he's a great player and he's injured and I've got no problem with him going to New York. So it's like you're trying to backtrack now, but you've already done let the genie out of the lamp.
Yeah, of course.
And it's just a mess. And it's a mess you didn't need to create. You could have just gone, he's banging form, gutted he's not with us, hope he gets a speedy recovery, look forward to play for him to playing again soon. Yeah, and if he's fit, and he's playing the way he is, he'll be in the squad. Done. There's no story there. No Southgate reacts or Southgate unhappy or... do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, that's just done. Even if you speak to him behind closed doors and you go, look, you keep missing these camps and these friendlies or whatever, or these qualifiers. I'm not saying you're lying, but if you keep missing them, it might affect your chances of getting picked.
Of course.
Just to let you know. Fine. Dealt with.
Keep it behind closed doors.
Like Eric Ten Hag does, doesn't he? He does very rarely comes out and criticises players, does he? He'll do stuff. He dropped Marcus once because he was late for a meeting. But he didn't come out and start hammering him. Just dealt with it. So I think I don't know, maybe it's naivety or he just misjudged it or whatever. But he just handled it really badly. And I think as well with Marcus, I feel quite defensive with him when it comes to the England situation because I do feel like he has been hammered a lot. Now, I know Marcus Rashford and you know Marcus Rashford better than anyone in terms of what happened with him. He did fall off a cliff form-wise. Not going to say him and pretend he didn't. Under Ralph Rangnick, he was awful and it was painful to watch as someone who is my favourite player for a multitude of reasons. And to watch that was awful. But he has, got back to his best and stuff like that. But you look after those Euros, the stick he was getting for missing a penalty.
Yeah.
You look at what he's been through with all that. You look at the way the media were waiting for him after the whole making the Tories U-turn twice. They were. You had the Spectator doing a hatchet job on him that they pulled in the end. There was Mail articles and all that sort of stuff and the usual nonsense. We saw one recently about his shopping in his McLaren F1 just days after United get beat off Liverpool.
You should have took the bus.
Yeah. How dare you go out shopping when we've just lost to Liverpool? That's disgusting. So, you know what he gets and what happens with him. Don't encourage it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're his England manager.
Do you think then that Southgate, because you were saying there that he knows what sort of weight his words carry, do you think Southgate meant to say that and throw him under the bus? Would you say that? Or was it a slip of the tongue because you have seen him sort of trying to backtrack recently? And then also you look at Marcus Rashford and how much he's actually had to deal with. I don't think this will affect him in any way.
That's a good point.
And I think he'll just be like water for ducks back. And as a Manchester United fan that could not care less how England perform, I'll be happy if that Marcus Rashford didn't go. It'll serve us a bit better, won't it?
Yeah, I think in this scenario, the difference with the World Cup, I thought, and we saw it, if he gets a good tournament, he gets buzzing, and he did. This qualifier, I still think if Marcus is 100%, he'll play. I think he wants to play for his country. I think he wants to keep scoring goals this season for club and country, which he's doing. He's on the way to breaking records. You don't want to stop that, but if he's not 100%, then he's entitled to go, you know what, 'cause he did come off against Fulham with a knock. He can just go, I could probably do the breather. This is the best time to have it now because I'm not 100%. And if I do play and it make it worse, then I've got, Newcastle on the horizon for United, which is one of the biggest games of the season because it's top four.
Yeah, of course.
So I understand that, and United do pay his wages, and that should be his priority. So I do sympathise with him, and I just think in answer to your question about why did Southgate do it, I think he misjudged it, and I think he felt. He could say that. Marcus might get a bit of grief, but maybe it'll get Marcus like, oh, crikey, I better.
Yeah.
And I think he's realised that's not how it's gone down. So I don't know whether...
He's come off worse, I think.
And I don't know, maybe there's been a bit of a vibe in the changing rooms. People are like... Because the coaches will know. Players are like, did you hear what the gaffer said about Marcus Rashford? Has he done that about Marcus? That's just dumb, man. Now everyone's sending for Marcus. He'll see stuff, he might see stuff on socials or whatever. Or someone said, look, he's getting a lot of grief here, it's not great. Maybe, I doubt it, but maybe he's even spoke to Marcus.
Yeah.
He might have messaged him and just said, look, I hope you realise, and Marcus said, I just think it's unnecessary. Or what? I doubt it, but you don't know. I don't know what kind of relationship they have. Whatever. He's obviously felt some way because he's had to backtrack for any of the others. What I think if you're England manager and you're Gareth Southgate, you should be doing is you should be having this relationship with Manchester United and Marcus Rashford where you can work together. So you can go, look, I understand you've got games coming thick and fast. I've got games I want to win. You're a big part. What's the situation?
Yeah.
Can you play? Can I have him for one of the games? And he can miss the Ukraine game or whatever.
Because Ferguson used to...
Maybe we can do a bit of that.
Ferguson used to do that quite a lot, didn't he? Like, players that get injured, like mysterious injuries.
Giggs was notorious for it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think he missed about 15, games or camps for Wales weren't important games or weren't deemed important.
Was that Giggs then, or was that Ferguson saying that you're not playing? Yeah, saying that you're not going to Moldova this week, son.
I think Fergie would just tell him straight, listen, if you want to go and play against Moldova, you can go and play against Moldova. We don't expect to have you see me when you get back.
Yeah.
You'd be sat on the bench for a month. I think he might have
pressured him into that, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that is, like you said, the United play Marcus Rashford's wages. That should be your bread and butter. And as much as I know when you can see the pride in the lad when he plays for England, if you were given the option of him winning the Champions League for United or the World Cup for England, I think he'd choose United every day of the week.
100%. And I also think that with Marcus, it's always been a bit of a weird one. Joe was making the point on the podcast earlier, and it's a good one, that he's never been first choice for England.
And why would you go?
He's always had to fight to get in the team. He's had friendlies, he's had qualifiers, he's had the substitute appearances, that one starting the Qatar. He's never been like, you're my guy. He's never been a Saka or a Maguire or a, Jordan Henderson or a Jordan Pickford.
And that's the other thing, is that when you see that the frustration that must come from that, when you're seeing like the likes of Harry Maguire who can't get in the United team getting picked, you must have a word with yourself and think, what's the fucking point? I'd rather go to New York for 2 weeks, because that's what I'd do.
No, 100%. That's flown by that, actually. Big thank you to producer Ethan from the Sloppy Joes podcast. Go and check them out if you've not done already.
Subscribe and like, and look what he's done with the lighting as well. James has got some fucking work to do when he gets back.
I'll tell you what, if Ethan weren't far above the standard of James Young, Ethan would have to find himself a new day job.
James is in Wrexham now, James.
I don't know.
Cardiff?
Wales, somewhere.
Brecon. What is it? Brecon
Hills?
Is that what it's called? Brecon Hills?
I don't know. I'm going to upsetting people.
I love the Welsh.
Yeah, me too. I've put a link into the Patreon. There's a Patreon vid going up tomorrow. Sorry we didn't post it. It's the same one from last week. I didn't post it. A bit of confusion. It's going to post that, and I'll post an extra one later on this week, and we'll do an article as well. Yeah. Get a bit of extra content there on the Patreon website if you go and check them out. But make sure you are subscribing to this channel. We've got over 6,000 subscribers now. So. Yeah,
thank you, man. Like I put a tweet out the other day and saying we just started this having a laugh between each other, and now we're averaging about 10,000 views every show, which is pretty fucking spectacular. So thank you everybody who's out there who is subscribing and watching and stuff, unless it's just my mum and your mum on repeat.
Probably, but if it is, thank you to our mums. Much
really
appreciated.
doubt it's my mum.
Right. Go on, you take us out, son.
Right, we'll be back next week. Is that a good one?
Yeah.
Okay, I've been Scotty, that's been Motty. Is it Hawke? He's not called... Is this his surname? Ethan Hawke's Mission Impossible.
Ethan Hawke? No, Ethan Hawke's the guy at Training Day. The actor.
I always thought it was called Ethan Hawke.
Him? He's called Ethan... I mean, I'd say his surname. Yeah. Ethan James.
So James is here...
Yeah, Ethan Hunt is the guy at Mission Impossible. Ethan Hawke's the actor.
Ethan Hunt.
I watched a film on Saturday night, actually, with Ethan Hawke in it, called The Black Phone.
Was it good? It doesn't sound very good.
Right, I was a bit annoyed because I still put weight in Rotten Tomatoes, and I think it had 83% in Rotten Tomatoes, and it shouldn't have done. It was one of those films, can't make its mind up what it is.
Yeah.
Is it a thriller? Is it a horror? Is it a family, not a family...
what a shit name for a film, though? The Black Phone.
It wasn't for me. But yeah, sorry.
So we digress. Ethan's a lovely name, and we've got a lovely Ethan. So thank you everybody who's been watching this week, and I've been Scotty, that's been Motty, and we shall see you very, very soon.